Okay, I know some of you are probably a little disappointed that the whole 7th to 9th thing didn't happen. And I kind of had an inkling that that might happen because of this scripture right here. And so that was the 4th watch. But in this scripture pattern in the book of Judges, chapter 19, now this is the pretty heinous story about the concubine and the Levite, but don't worry, we're not going to get into the gory details. I just want to show you this pattern that I see here as far as the man staying at the father-in-law's house. I'll try to get it so you can see it better. And how many times he was delayed, okay? So it kind of starts down here at the bottom. It says, her father, and that would be in the latter part of verse 3. No, actually, sorry, verse 4. Her father urged him to stay a while, so he stayed 3 days, eating, drinking, and sleeping there. On the 4th day, the man was up early, ready to leave, but the woman's father said to his son-in-law, have something to eat before you go. So the 2 men sat down together and had something to eat and drink. Then the woman's father said, please stay another night and enjoy yourself. The man got up to leave, but his father-in-law kept urging him to stay, so he finally gave in and stayed the night. On the morning of the 5th day, he was up early again, ready to leave, and again the woman's father said, have something to eat, then you can leave later this afternoon. So they had another day of feasting. Later, as the man and his concubine and servant were preparing to leave, his father-in-law said, look, it's almost evening. Stay the night and enjoy yourself. Tomorrow you can get up early and be on your way. But this time the man was determined to leave. So he took his 2 saddled donkeys and his concubine and headed in the direction of Jebus, that is Jerusalem. Okay? All right, so if we look at this, he gets delayed 4 times for sure, okay, overnight delays. Then this 5th day, it's like he's getting to the point where maybe he's getting tempted to stay. It's evening, it's late, but he doesn't do it, okay? He does get up and he does leave finally, okay? So if this pattern holds true, and we've been getting breadcrumbs. We first got the 3 different delays in the parables, and then we got the 4 different delays in the Elijah and Elisha story. And now we have up to the 5th delay in this story here about the Levite and the concubine, okay? Now, in this story, it seems to me that the man's father-in-law, excuse me, might have the role of God the Father in this story, okay, in this type and shadow. And of course, the man would be Jesus, and then the days would be, up to the 5th day, late in the evening, he's going to get up and go then, okay? Now, if you remember, I did do a kind of a long, deep dive into this story because it does relate to Bible prophecy in that it is in one of the parables that talks about the servant getting cut up and into little pieces, and I'm pretty sure it's the same one that has the hypocrites and the weeping and gnashing of teeth, that kind of thing, okay? So that's what made me start digging into this, because I thought, well, that sounds really close to this story over here that's kind of just a weird story. And he did give me some insights and some different kinds of kind of illuminating this story a little bit more as to why we need to know about it and what it's really meaning. So you want to go check that one out. I've just recently done it within like the past week or so. And you want to check that one out because it does have some meaning for what we're going through. But I think that this pattern of the 5th day could be the last one, perhaps, okay? I mean, unless we can find another story where there was 6 delays, he may be running out of types and shadows to use for us here. And it does say that he delayed, and then after that, he was going, right? All the other ones don't really tell us that there's no more delays or that he's actually going to go. So this one kind of looks promising from that perspective, too, that, in the different ones of the parables, it just says, well, okay, the last group was invited and then the feast started, right? Or they went through the 4 different towns in the Elijah-Elisha story, and then they finally got across the river, okay? But in this one, he's like, no, I'm not going to delay anymore. I'm not staying anymore. I'm going to go, okay? But it could be that God the Father is saying, no, give them more time. No, give them more time. Give them more time. Of course, Jesus is anxious to see us as much as we are to see him. And of course, he wants to give, as much time as the Father wants him to give, or that he wants to give himself. But I'm sure he's still very anxious to get to us, So, and I'm not saying that he would disobey the Father. I mean, obviously some of this is types and shadows, and you can't really take everything like it's literal, okay? But that's just an idea that we could be looking at this one next. Now, I did drop it's more of a hunch, not a prophecy, that the 2 moons could possibly be that our months are just 2 months off, basically. Because, sept means 7, and octo means 8, and nova means 9, and then deci, like December, means 10. And so, for some reason, our months are like 2 months wrong, 2 months ahead of what the number or the root word of those month names actually means, okay, in the Latin. I'm pretty sure it was Latin. I looked it up. So, the 923, 924, even though that is September on the Gregorian calendar, which is what Joshua said, could really be that he's telling us that, listen, all of those month names are 2 months off, really, and that maybe the 923, 924 is November 23rd and 24th. On which calendar, I have no idea. I don't know which calendar it would be on, but we could be thinking maybe that might be the next date to watch for, okay? So we've all kind of been through all of the calendars that I can even think of. I mean, we've been through now he did say that he didn't really put his stamp on the Gregorian calendar, because the first one was kind of the October 6, 7, and then the other ones. I think Hemingway had a word like that, where he didn't really put his approval on that one. That just kind of started the countdown clock, which is what I got over here. So it's possible we're going back to the Gregorian calendar now, and that one's actually going to be the 5th one, or the final one. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I thought you guys would want to see that. Now listen, you don't need to be getting discouraged. I've got lots and lots of material to give you now from the Bible about all the things that we really need to understand about how all of this is going to work, okay? We really need to be warning them on the clean bride side here, and also to make sure that you know how you do all of these things, because today I was reading a bunch of scriptures and I started reading it kind of in reverse order. So I've already been through the book of Revelation and Jude very heavily. And so I just decided to start going backwards in the Bible through all the books. And so I got up to about Hebrews tonight. And man, there's a lot of stuff in there that's talking about the issues that we are dealing with today, right now. And so I'm going to bring you some of that stuff so that you can see what I saw. And it's going to burden your heart some, honestly, guys. It's going to burden your heart a lot. But we need to hear it, and we need to know the truth, and we need to know what we need to do in this last little stretch of this rapture journey, this last leg of the race. It could be that all of these delays had to happen to give everybody a chance to process what's going on and to, understand the material, the information yourself now that you kind of dug out from underneath all the lies. And then we need to put forth a really good effort into getting this information into their hands of any that will listen, even if it's maybe not your immediate circle of people. Maybe you've told them already, but maybe go into some of these chat rooms that they haven't really maybe been over here, but they're kind of believing for Joshua. Let's get them first, because they're the low-hanging fruit. Believing that the word of the Lord is in Joshua, and that all of the Spirit did move, and that all of this stuff is going to happen, and that God is coming. Let's get them in the ark first, okay? Making sure that they understand that once saved, always saved stuff's not going to work, and, how you really get to the rapture. And, of course, they kind of are on board that the prophet has to come forth, so we don't have to, jump over that hurdle as well. But we need to get this information out to them because we don't have very much longer, even if it is the 923, 924, where it's in November, the 9 meaning November, okay? It's still, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks or so that we have, so maybe a little less than 2 weeks. But we need to get that information into their hands, and then hopefully they, since they will be at least halfway there to being a clean bride, can go and tell some other people as well, okay? So I'm going to work on getting that out to you next, these different things that he's pointing out to me in these kind of the back of the book, kind of little books, the tiny books. And then we'll see where we're at after all of that happens, okay? But do not give up. I'm telling you, there's tons of scripture that says you need to keep the faith, persevere, and that this is all going down according to God's plan in his word, okay? So just stay in the boat, okay? Nobody jumping out. Nobody is going to start swimming because the flood's coming and you'll never make it, all right? So stay in the boat with me, and you're just going to have faith, okay? Now think about it. Abraham had to have enough faith to pick up his entire life and move somewhere that God didn't even tell him where he was going, okay? He also had to have faith that this promised son that he was, given late in life, and to boot, that he was going to take him up on the mountaintop, and he fully expected to kill him, okay? Now, of course, he believed that God would raise him back from the dead, so I just kind of ran across that in one of these back of the book kind of books today, but, he had to have a lot of faith, and a lot of people had to have a ton of faith in this book right here. And so we have to have this faith, okay? We have to just keep believing even what we can't see, okay? We don't really see the light at the end of the tunnel because we don't see it. We don't know how many delays there's going to be. But listen, he tells us that he's going to come. He's not going to come and make all of this fanfare and bring a prophet forward and have all of these people mocking and scoffing and then delay it for 10 years, okay? He can't even delay it past when the World Cup would start, because Joshua gave that word. That's like the stop sign for us, okay? That's the stop sign. So if it goes past that and they start playing a game at the World Cup, then this whole thing is over, all right? But I don't think it's going to be over. I think it's going to be, we're going to be raptured out of here this year, just like Joshua was told, okay? So just keep the faith. Come on, you got to persevere. Remember back there in Revelation chapter 3, it says that you have obeyed his command to persevere. And that's part of this, getting the reward of the crown, is you must persevere, okay? And you must have faith as well to do so. So hang in there. Keep the faith and help me get everybody else to keep the faith as well. We're going to snatch them from the flames of fire over there in the book of Jude, and we're going to get them in the boat, okay? That's our goal. I'm speaking that over our group right now, all right? I love you guys. Do not give up.